Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 446 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. Gonna be live hacking on some Firefox stuff today. Gonna be making some forward progress on the center cropping stuff that we've been working on the last few weeks. I made a minor breakthrough not long after last stream. I want to show that off, and maybe we can work on some tests. Anyways, let's. Oh, and a tea delivery right on time. That's perfect. Thank you very much. All right, let's get started. I'll start by sharing my screen. Hey, it's August 12th, 2026, episode 446. 446. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I want to do today. I think I know how it's going to go down, but I could be wrong. I was wrong last week. I thought we'd be like just flying. I thought we'd be just plowing through tasks and getting tests written, and we were going to work on the download side panel again, but we didn't even get past getting the center cropping working at all after we applied the review feedback from Emilio. And so that might also again happen, but I'm more confident this week that we will move forward. But, things happen. That's the first thing. The second thing, the agenda that we're looking at. Hey, did you know that this agenda is available to you? If you're watching this on YouTube, check out the video description for a link. If you're watching this on AirMozilla, check out the video details over there. And if you're watching this on Twitch, check out the channel details. There's a link to the agenda. And as I update this and add some text, then this little spinny will spin. And if you reload the agenda, it'll be the most up to date. And if you're watching this recording, the agenda is probably almost certainly up to date if you're just looking at it, because I don't tend to update agendas after the episode's over, unless there's like a major correction to do. Let me just. That's nice. That's some nice tea. All right. Well, let's get right into it. What did I find? So, not long after. Well, let's look at the patch as it was posted to center cropping. Let's look at the patch that was posted to Fabricator. And we can start there. So what we were doing was we kind of had this complicated mechanism that Emilio said was overcomplicated, where we exposed a WebIDL interface on the label element to enable center cropping, and then we called into that from MozLabel, and then we used this special, what's called a get attribute change hint, to notice whenever the crop or value attributes are changed, and if so, I would hint to the layout engine that, hey, we need to do a restyle, a reflow. This is not enough. This is what I found out. That this is the right idea, but this is the wrong hint. So the return value, the NS change hint, can be any number of things. If we take a look at NS change hint, we can see that there are actually a bunch of constants here, and I was using NS style hint reflow, which is like a special kind of combined set of hints. But what we probably want isn't just a visual reflow. We need to actually rebuild what's called the frame, the box. Whenever we change things so that we're using center cropping or we're not using center cropping, we need to rebuild the sort of the graphical infrastructure, the thing that's actually going to be rendered. We have to recreate the box. And that's called reconstruct frame. So this is the equivalent of doing display none and then turning off display none, is we bring the frame, as we say, hey, I need to be reconstructed. And so that ended up being what I needed to do. So we can take, I've got this patch here, fix center cropping stuff. So if you look at SZK, we can see that that's what I'm doing here, is I updated some of the documentation to make it clear where stuff was, but also I changed and I simplified the, here, let me actually show you the patch in situ. This is what Emilio suggested we add, that we just check that the Chrome rules were in a Chrome doc. And then instead of just doing a style hint that we need to recompute styles, we say, hey, we need to reconstruct the frame if either of these two are changed and we're in a Chrome document. So there you have it. That appears to work, and I can demonstrate that for you right now. Here we've got our test label in the download sidebar that we were working on, and if we inspect that label, here it is, and it's got center cropping enabled. And now I'm going to shrink. Yeah, see, there we go. And then if I disable center cropping, so I'm going to remove that attribute, then what happens? Yay! That's what we want. Now let's put it back. Enable center crop. Hang on. Enable center crop. Yay! Hey, okay, so this is exactly what we were looking for. It was a very small thing. Sometimes the thing that you need is just really, really tiny. And I think what it did was illustrate to me sort of my lack of experience and knowledge in how hinting of the layout engine works. And how, like, you've got these two systems. You've got, like, the DOM system, which is the construction of all the DOM nodes. And you have the style system. And the DOM and the style system and the scripts that touch them, you know, they'll recompute the styles and whatnot. And there's like this sort of chain of events where the style system will then indicate whether or not, or the elements themselves will indicate, hey, I need to be relayed out. And like, at what level? Do my dimensions need to just be recalculated? Or do I need to completely reconstruct the thing that's used to render me? And that there are a bunch of different ways of expressing these things, but these are the hints. These are the hints. And yeah, there you go. There you go. So we have it working, and now what I wanted to do was actually get some tests written. And so let's write down some ideas for some tests. I've got two in mind. The first one is a basic one, like let's write a Mochi test Chrome test that checks that center cropping actually works. And then let's write a Mochi test plain test. Plain means it just it's running like as normal web content that checks that center cropping does not work for plain HTML documents, because it's Chrome only, or like Chrome privileged documents only. And I think that, coupled with the test that we already have for Moz label, put us in a great position. So, let's see here. Sorry, someone just asked me something. Sorry, I'm just answering a question. All right. So where would these tests live? Great question. Let's see. Are there existing label tests? Test label? Really, what you want? Oh, what are these? DOM, HTML, test forms, test label control. Toolkit content test label control. That's probably testing the Zool label, which we're not actually. Thank you, SmurfD, for kicking out the streamer. But that's kind of the right idea. Under toolkit content test Chrome. So maybe we want a label control under DOM HTML test, maybe not under forms. Do we have anything in here for label? DOM HTML test label. Label input control, radio in label. It's all under forms. Maybe forms is a fine place to put it. Oh, I'm seeing some tests for just under the top level. What's in here? What are these label tests? Interactive content in label. Oh, like all of this stuff inside of a label. You know what? I think we're going to put it inside of form. So we're going to put this inside. The Moki test plane will be under DOM HTML test forms. And then are there any Chrome tests? There are Chrome tests in here. We're going to say also under DOM HTML test forms. And we'll call this one test Chrome. Test Chrome label center cropping .html. We'll call this test content label no center cropping. Okay. That is the plan. Now, how are we actually going to do this test? This was something that I was kind of wrestling with last week as well. It's like, how do you verify? Because like the actual label itself, if you look at this, the label itself doesn't have the center ellipsis. Like, how do you check whether or not the center ellipsis is being applied? How do you get this text? And I believe I may have found a way of doing it. Get children for node. I think this will work. I haven't actually verified this, but I was at least 3 arguments. So I found inspector utils. Is this like it's WebIDL. Inspector utils. So these are all like our special DevTools things. And I think there's a way I can get like special anonymous content. Get children for node is maybe one of them. The node showing anonymous content, include assigned nodes. Let's say true. And then we get text nodes. And that's the first one. And what's the second one? It's got, see, that's what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see. The second one has the crop. And somehow the label mechanism, like it's stuffing it into the element in the anonymous content space, and it's the second one that's being rendered. Like, just somehow the rendering engine knows to do that one. But at least here we can detect whether or not we've got the cropping. Okay, now do I actually need, what was that other argument? Include assigned nodes. Do I need that? False. No. I presume I do need the anonymous content. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to say true and then false. And let's start by writing a test now. Now I'm also going to quit this. I'm going to change where I am in the tree because this is all of our downloads panel stuff. I'm going to fold the fix because like I kept the fix separated so that you could see it, but now I'm going to fold it in, or squash rather. And now I'm going to add the tests. So mock add test, and let's create a test under DOM HTML test forms, and we're going to call it test Chrome add test flavor Moki test Chrome. I think I can do, and then will that work? Looks like it doesn't. Mock add test. How do I tell it what flavor I want? Mock add test. Sweet. I want sweet, not flavor. Okay, and then we're gonna add a different one. Mock add test sweet Moki test plain. So let's build. All right. Now, what am I thinking for the test? It's pretty simple. For this one, they're basically going to be the same thing in 2 different condition. Like, we expect this one, we expect center cropping to work when crop equals center and value equals some string, and no wrap and text wrap, no wrap, and what's the other thing? And max width applied. We expect no center cropping. And what was the command I used? Just gonna have this ready for us. What was it in here? Yeah. Get children for node. So this is the magic sauce. How do I make that code? Where is the label? Is the label element? Okay, let us now try and build that. We'll do the working one first. Let's run this. This test is going to be pre-filled with nothing. I think it's just like boilerplate. Let's make sure. Yeah, boilerplate, and let's run it. Make sure that the test actually runs. This text is pretty small. Let me pump up the font a little so you can see what I'm doing. Pump up the whoopsie. Pump up the jam. Pump it up. Okay. Now, is there a head.js that's shared? Chrome uses submit invalid file and just prefs. There's no shared head. And what about mokitest.toml? No, there is no shared head. It's maybe fine to have these be separate for now. Okay, so what I want to do, title, test that center cropping for labels in Chrome documents works. And the content, I don't know why we have these like different elements. Content display none. I'm going to have content here, and I'm going to say label ID equals test label, and we're going to say crop equals center, value equals this is a very long. Oh, you know what I'll do? No. Okay, this is a very long string, and it should be cropped by center cropping. And then style, or I'll say class with center cropping styles. Okay. Style with center cropping styles. Max width 10 characters, and text wrap, no wrap. Is it text wrap, no wrap? Text wrap, no wrap, yeah. And here's what I'm gonna do. Test that, test center cropping. Let label equals document query selector test label. And then how do I get the inspector utils? Inspector utils test. Well, like a Moki, like a Chrome. Yeah. Oh, it's on special powers. Okay. Const. Well, no, I don't have to do it that way. I'll just say special powers. So let child text equals special powers inspector utils dot, and then what was the command? Get children for node. And then we're going to pass in the label node. And then I'm going to say, do I do assert.js in these? DOM HTML forms. Was it DOM HTML test forms? Assert. I guess not. So it's got to be is. Yeah. Is child text dot length text nodes 2 should have found the uncropped and cropped children child nodes. The second node by convention is the cropped one. So let const expected uncropped equals this. Const expected cropped equals, now I don't actually know what's going to be what this will be, but I'm going to make a guess, and then we can adjust it. So is child text, oh, I didn't even see what the, when you have a text node, if you have a text node, let's get a text node. Child nodes. You have a text node. The text value? No, text contains length, no name, node value. Is it node value? Maybe I want node value. Okay, yeah, I think we want node value. Okay. Is child text not 0? I'll let uncropped text equals child text nodes 0. So this should be child text nodes. Is uncropped text expected uncropped. First node is the uncropped text, and then is the first node by convention is the uncropped one. Let cropped text equals child text nodes 1 dot value. And then we're going to say, are you cropped text should be expected cropped. Second node is the cropped text. So let's run that and see what happens. Explosion. Should have found the uncropped and cropped child nodes. Got 1, expected 2. Uh-oh. So what did I do wrong here? Label, ID, test label, crop, center, value. I've got crop and value. Can I await new promise, resolve, set timeout? Oh, wait, is this is Chrome? Yeah, okay. Set timeout, resolve, 15,000. So let's take a quick peek at this thing. Where is it? Content. There it is. This ellipsis ing. So that works. The cropping is working. But for some reason, should have found... We only get one node. Why is that? What's the value of the node if we take a look at the value? Oh no! First node is the uncropped text got undefined. Do I have to do something special here? Why is this? Do I have to unwrap it? Do I have to unwrap it? Unwrap. Special powers, unwrap. That, but just in case. No. I think what I want to do is debug from here. Debugger. JS debugger. Nope, no. So, label. Yes. Child text notes. We've got our item. And there we go. That is what I would expect. It's dot value. Oh, there is no value. No, node value. Did I not say node value? I didn't say node value. Okay, so there's... and I closed VS Code. That was my problem. So we're going to get rid of that. So maybe it isn't that there are two text nodes. Maybe it's only ever one text node. And the only reason I saw two before was because of the because of DevTools. So I think that's fine. Should have found the cropped child node. Excuse me. Excuse me. Cropped text value. Do I need to unwrap it still? Maybe I don't at this point. And then crop text value. First node is the found the cropped text. Bless me, says Smurfy. Thank you, I appreciate that. Unexpected, expected uncropped. Sorry, I'm looking for expected cropped. The tea is cooled off, so I can really gobble it now, which is nice. So that's good. We've got center cropping of, this is precisely what I want. And now whenever I remove label dot remove attribute crop. And then what I want to do is, I think, is that synchronous? I might need to wait a tick. I don't actually know. Const expected uncropped equals, I'll put this back. False. Uncropped child node. Uncropped text value. Does that work? No. Now, if I wait a tick, await new promise, resolve, set timeout, resolve 0, wait a tick of the event loop. Oh, right. There won't be a text node underneath it anymore. It'll just be empty. That's fine. So I need a way of awaiting a tick of the event loop. What is the way of doing that? DOM HTML test forms. Wait for tick. Await promise. Execute soon. Is dot length 0, no cropped text node on the element. Good. Now how about one where we like override the label, the actual child. Test override existing text node. I'm gonna move this out. And we're gonna put in another label here. Test label. Test label with existing children, with existing text. This is some pre-existing text. Text equals, this is some pre-existing text. These test label with existing text. I'll say pre-existing text. Should have found the crop text node, found the crop text, remove the attribute, and then I expect this actually to fail, this part, this line. Let's see. On line 30. Oh, wow. This failed. No crop text. Test label. Why are you failing? No crop text node on the element. Got 1, expected 0. Is this non-deterministic? Maybe I have to force a layout. Yeah, okay. So like flush. Flush pending layout. Will that do it? We're still finding. Okay, well then what's the value? Text notes length 0. Dump value. Cropped text value. Pass. No crop. No. Got 1. Expected 0. Question from Smurf D. Hey, while I remember, is there any plan to add some AI control to allow users to deny AI widgets on the new tab page? What AI widgets? I don't think there are any AI widgets on the new tab page. I mean, the crossword in the US, I believe the people who are constructing this crossword are using AI to help them construct the clues and the crossword itself. But these are all built by hand. What do you mean, Smurf D? What do you mean? So that passed. What was the value? So it's still doing it even after I removed crop. What if I maybe, so flushing layout isn't enough. Await new promise resolve, set timeout resolve. If I wait 1 second, I had read that the crossword one was written with the help of AI. Not the widget itself, the contents of the widget. That's different. That's different. This is provided by a company called Particle, and they are the ones who construct the puzzle clues and the puzzles, and I believe they use AI to do that. So there you have it. So that worked, but is not sustainable. Like we can't just wait a full second. So how do we go through the cycle? How do we force this? You remove the attribute. Maybe I need to like label client top. Maybe it's on the label that I need to force that to occur. Okay, now verify. Make sure we don't have a race here. As with anything that is like using AI in the browser, all of the controls for those, like we don't. Oh, what the heck? What are you doing? What are you running? Anything that's gonna like use any kind of like model to do something is controlled from settings. Get out of my way. AI controls. So by policy, anything that you invoke that might use a model, any kind of model, not even a large learning model, or a large language model rather, any kind of machine learning model, anything one might consider in the realm, like AI is this very blanket term. And I think what a lot of people associate with AI these days is like generative AI, which is a sub branch. We've been doing computer vision since I was in like 20 years ago. We were doing computer vision, and is that AI? That's like using OpenCV but like what we've tried to do is we've tried to like listen to people who are concerned about models that are potentially doing non-deterministic things, or maybe you have a real like ethical objection or ecological objection to using large learning models or machine learning in general. And so we've given all of the controls here. Like translations, for example, does not use a large language model, the built-in translation system that downloads a model. Language is hard, but it downloads a model for the languages. It's not a large language model. The file is large. It is about a language. It is not what is typically thought of as a large language model. We download one of those things and we can use that to attempt to perform translations between languages. But because people kind of conflate all of these things and they just go like, that's AI, we've tried to make it very, very clear like what uses those sorts of things in the browser and how to turn them on and off. And you can turn them all off if you don't want them. So that's kind of the philosophy there. So that worked. This flush layout, we don't have to do that anymore. No uncropped text. So then we can not skip this one. Maybe we'll skip the first one now. Oh, no, don't verify. Should have found the cropped child node. Got to expected one. Right, that's why we had one before, because you've got the pre-existing one. Okay. So, should have found the pre-existing child node and the cropped child node. Child node and the cropped child node. Let pre-existing text value equals child text node 0 node value. We expect that. Found the pre-existing text. Let the cropped value equal that one. Found the crop text. Then we'll remove crop. And we don't need to do that anymore. And then we will this should make it so that we show the pre-existing text again. There should be just one. Found only one text node now. And is child text nodes 0 dot node value pre-existing. Found the pre-existing text. Let's see if that works. It's all good, Smurf D. Don't worry about it, man. Okay, so that works. I'm pretty happy about those. I think we can call this test done. Well, how about updating the value? Let's also do existing node. We'll do one called update value. Test update value. We'll take test label, label ID test label for updating, crop equals center, value equals that, and then we'll say const updated uncropped equals, this is an updated long string. We expect it to be cropped as well. And so for updating, we'll get the text. Should have found the cropped child node. Or actually what we'll do is we'll get the label and then label set attribute value updated uncropped, and then flush layout, and then child text nodes, cropped text. We should expect to find one. Should have found, oh, we'll take the first one. Should have found the cropped child node. Found, and then updated cropped. Should probably be this. And then ing, it's not ing, it should be L. Updated cropped. Found the cropped text. Updated cropped. Found the updated cropped text. And then will that work? Are there any nice, cool programming streamers anyone can recommend? Yes, check out the agenda. I've got a couple in here. Some of these are recorded. You know, I don't know how many, like NBP, I don't think streams anymore. I don't know when the last time Alessandra did, or Emilio, or, you know, Andreas Kling. So I've got some links in here. Check those out. The recordings are nice. These are ones I've enjoyed in the past. Thanks. Smurfy's covering it. Found the updated crop text. Got this is an updated long string. Expected this L. Set value to updated uncropped. Flush layout. And what we found was the uncropped text. Oh, I need to put this class on it. That's why. You're welcome, Vincent Fa. Expected. Oh, so this WL. Okay. Now the font might matter a lot here too. So I'm going to font. Is there like a Fira test? Fira Sans. Can I do Fira Sans? Because I suspect that will change. gets produced. Okay. Now does that actually work? Fira Sans. What if it's not installed? Fonts sub super woof. How do we know where Fira Sans is? So it's in ref tests. And then there's this source under layout ref fonts, Fira Sans regular. Okay, so maybe I need this as well. Okay. So where is this? Fira Sans regular. It's under layout ref tests. Oh man. But maybe I'll put it under support files. So here we are under forms. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll take us to layout. And layout, we actually want to be, where do we want to be? Where is Fira Sans? It's under layout ref test fonts Fira. And so going down 3 takes us down 1, 2, 3 to DOM. So we actually want to go one more. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. That would take us to the root and then layout ref tests. So that brings in Fira regular, Fira Sans regular, sandbox. Well, what do we say here? URL. Fira Sans regular .otf. Does that work? I might have to build. Doesn't understand what I mean. Because I need a comma. Nerd bloke's typing. What you saying, nerd bloke? Okay, and then we're gonna work on the other test, which is just making sure that none of this stuff works. That's fairly important. And then we can post this for review. And I'll be happy about that. And then I'll be so happy. What could nerd bloke be typing? What could it be? What could it be? Vincent Foz also typing. What could it be? What are they gonna say? Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, let's run this test. What do you think about AI assisted programming? What do I think? I mean, okay, I'll answer this one. I think I answered this one. When did I answer this one? I should probably update my answer because I think I answered this like a year ago. Oh, Nerdbloke says that the Pigeon Instant Messenger developer live streams. So that's cool. So what do I think about AI-assisted programming? I think it makes for bad television, for one thing. But also, I think that it is powerful in the same way that an Iron Man suit is powerful. That's the metaphor I've heard, where the Iron Man suit in the comic books allows you to like lift heavy things, and it's got like blasters and you can fly and stuff, but ultimately you are responsible for piloting it. It is a vehicle that you get inside and you are responsible for what it does. And so if you're doing AI assisted programming, okay, that doesn't relieve you of the responsibility of knowing what it is that you're writing. I mean, especially if you're just building a tool. Okay, here's an example from my personal life. I had to do some interesting things related to taxes a couple of years ago. Last year for taxes. So last April, I needed to write some image processing code. I was basically doing some OCR, and I needed to do a transform for a spreadsheet for some special tax stuff that I was doing here in Canada. And I'm not sharing that. I'm not giving that out to other people. I just needed to get it done so that I could, file my taxes on time. So I used a model to help me generate some Python to do the work, and it saved me a lot of time. What probably would have taken me maybe 3 or 4 hours of reading documentation and learning how to do OCR properly, and like how to talk to an open office or LibreOffice spreadsheet file format, like all of these things that I could have learned, but like I didn't really want it to be a learning exercise. I just wanted to get my taxes filed. It was great for that. So it banged out some Python. So within 20 minutes, I had something that worked. I was able to cross-check it and verify it visually with all of the receipts. Like I went one by one, and that was great. I was really, really happy with that. Now, if I were to like sell that tool, or I was gonna give it to my my family or friends or something, be like, use this, I think I would be a lot more careful about what I'd written. I would whenever the Python that got spat out was a 100 lines, couple hundred lines, and I did kind of like glance through it to make sure that it wasn't, touching the network or like sending my tax information to, like, all kinds of things. I read the Python, but I didn't necessarily need to do a deep dive into the minutiae of what the patch was doing with like the OCR library. I verified that the OCR library it was using was like the sort of the typical Python one that I think it was using OpenCV actually, or something that wrapped OpenCV, and the spreadsheet tool for talking to the LibreOffice spreadsheet that I was working with. And some file manipulation. That was basically it. Some file manipulation, some transforms, a little bit of regex stuff, and Bob's your uncle. But if I were to share that or sell it or give it to some friends and family, I'd want to know what it's doing exactly. And the same goes, at least, and I'm speaking for myself here, whenever, if and when I'm ever using any of these tools to, like, I don't know, help me write a test. Like, I could have used a model to help me write these tests. It probably would have taken less time. But I'd still want to know how they were working. I'd still want to know, I'd want to read line by line. What is the test doing? Is it actually testing the thing that I care about? Rather than, did it generated 87 lines? That looks good. I'd want to know what it was doing. And the same goes not just for tests, but for other patches as well. Is you have a responsibility. Just because you used a tool to generate it, that tool cannot be held responsible for what it wrote. A machine cannot be held responsible. You, as the person wielding the machine, like an airplane cannot be held responsible for, pilot error, really. Is that the best example? What's the example I'm looking for? The tools don't have a will of their own, as they kind of give off this very convincing sense of personality, but you have to use them. And you are the one using them, and you cannot give up your agency. You can't give up your responsibility. You are ultimately responsible for what it produces, despite the fact that it wrote it. It made the text. If you are going to pass that around, that's your name needs to go on that, and be like, I'm responsible for this, because if something goes wrong, it's on me. And if you're responsible for something, especially if it's important, you're going to want to know how it works. Because if it doesn't work and people come knocking on your door and your answer is like, I don't know, Claude wrote it. Bad answer. You absolutely need someone to be accountable. And if you're the one who's using it, you're accountable. The model is never accountable. You cannot hold a machine accountable. So if you are accountable for the patch that you are generating, then you better understand what it's doing. You and your reviewer, and hopefully you're doing code review. Okay, so this worked. I am curious to know whether or not this is actually loading the font properly. So let me see here. Let me do a quick check. Class or div. This is normal font. Div. This is Fira Sans font. Class equal normal, or class, no class here, and then class Fira. Okay, and then so instead of body, we'll go Fira, and then I'm going to await new promise resolve set. All right, let's take a look. But the tools are getting remarkably good at generating code where I'm like, okay, I can't even read it. That's the problem. Is I cannot read this. The text is improperly styled. So let's do body, background color, color black. Let's take a look. Is that different? That doesn't look different to me. Inspect. Fonts. Okay. Longer. 20 seconds. That doesn't look different. Inspect. And I will also say, yeah, it's not working. Fira Sans. That it should be the load of the font failed. The load of the font failed. Failed to start download because it can't find it. Okay. Where is this document? Bot. I think it actually needs to be there. If I say load that, will that work? Yeah, that's more like it. That's what I want to see. Vincent Fa says, in the future, maybe the machine will be more trustworthy than the man, but the machine will not care so much about human usability. Wow, the machine will be more trustworthy than the man. Worthy of trust. Trustworthy. I don't know. Is a machine worthy of trust? Something deterministic is worthy of trust. Something non-deterministic is by definition not worthy of trust because it can change its behavior. It's going to be different every time. Now, if that non-determinism is bounded within an acceptable range and you trust that range, then you can apply trust. But if you don't know how to, I don't think we know how to bound that non-determinism yet. I think that's what everyone's been trying to focus on is they apply more training, but you still have the non-determinism. Maybe I'll change my tune, but in the end, you need humans in the loop to verify the things that are being produced are meaningful, they're doing the tools are meant to serve humans, so humans should be reviewing them. That's my philosophy anyways. Okay, anyway, so we're gonna put this back here. And then we are going to get rid of these. And we're just gonna run this one more time. Ah, failed. Now, why did it fail? Because I've changed the conditions of things by changing the font. So this is good. Now we have like a consistent, because we're going to be using the font. If I'd use the default fonts on each platform, the chances of them being consistent is lessened. But because now I'm using a fixed static font, I can now update our test expectations to be just so. I think. Worst case scenario, I end up having to like do more some string analysis. You know, maybe just check for the ellipsis character and make sure it's in the middle. But for now, let's see if this will work. We use a static, use a font, a known font face to try to reduce the differences in character widths, which influences the result, influences the cropping between operating systems. Default fonts, character font glyphs. Okay, so that's done. Now let's do the content one. So this will be fairly similar, except that we're testing the contrapositive, the other side. Test that center cropping is not allowed in normal content documents. Label center cropping, not allowed. So this is a very long string. It should be cropped by center crop, and it should not be cropped by center cropping. And we'll copy over our styles. We don't really need the font thing. We will add this now. Test no center cropping. Test label. So we get the children nodes should have found no child node. Should have found no children nodes. No center cropping with value. And then if there's a pre-existing text. With pre-existing text. Test label with pre-existing text. Child nodes should have found the pre-existing text node, and then okay, child text node 0.node value should be pre-existing text. Should have rendered the pre-existing text. So what's this called? Test content label. No center cropping. Incredible. It passed. Okay, so I feel pretty good about these. Let's go ahead and squash them in. I'm going to do a quick Moz lint. Mock lint outgoing fix. Okay. One thing fixed. Oh, nothing fixed. I don't know what that means whenever it does that, but I've seen that before. And then what was the MMP? What was the other test that I had added? In the label element itself. Moz label. Do we have a test in Moz label? Test Moz label. Yeah. So this failed. Why did this fail? Oh, didn't even try it with Fluent. Test center cropping. The actual cropping behavior is tested in the test Chrome label. What do I call it? Test Chrome label center cropping test. This test merely tests the syntactic sugar for using center cropping. Uncropped initial text. Should have center crop, should have been set to the uncropped text. Uncropped text. Text. Yeah, that's right. And then this is the one that I think was failing. Let's just verify that. Comment that one out. Okay, so that passed. We just now need to fix this one. So we're going to only run this one to simplify things. Oops. Okay, so in this test from Fluent, value should have been set to uncropped text. So is that what actually happened? So test center crop from Fluent. And we're using example label. Did I get far enough in this? Oh, yeah, it should be example label 1, not example label. So that's already a problem. Example label 1. No, you know what? We don't even need this test. We know that Fluent updates can update attributes. And we know that updating the attribute works because of the test that we wrote. Here, updating the value. So we don't even need that other test. Test Moz label. So I think we can get rid of center crop and syntactic sugar. So get rid of that. And we'll get rid of this fancy L10N stuff. Don't need that anymore. Good. Okay, good separation of concerns there. The label test is just testing that we're using the syntactic sugar properly. And outgoing fix. Let's post this up for review. Now, who could review the change to Moz label? Who's a good person for that? Moz label? Label. Who's worked on this thing recently? Do you need a monster machine to build Firefox? Seems like you're using a MacBook Pro. RAM and NVMe prices are ridiculously high right now. It's a bad time to be buying a new computer, at least in terms of getting a good price. You're right. It is a very expensive time to be buying a new computer. What I would say is no, you don't need a monster machine to build Firefox, or at least it depends on how long you're willing to wait, and it depends on what you're working on. So if you are only wanting to change things like some of the inline, like I don't know if you noticed, but Moz label, the thing that we were working with today, this is, written in JavaScript. You don't necessarily need to do a full, what we call a binary build, where you're compiling all of the C++ and Rust and assembly into machine code because of a change you made in some JavaScript that we package with the product. Like Firefox, I like to think of Firefox as almost like an application built on top of an engine. That's a one way of thinking about it. Almost like how games are built on top of game engines. Firefox is an application, web browser application built on top of an engine. The engine's called Gecko, and the application's called Firefox, and they're very tightly coupled and quite intertwined. But a lot of the Firefox part is written in JavaScript and CSS. Not all of it. Some of it is written in C++, but I'd say a significant chunk of the UI is written in JavaScript and CSS and HTML, or variants of markup languages like HTML or XHTML or Zool. And so if you want to just change some parts of the UI, you can use what's called an artifact build. An artifact build is much, much faster. What you get with an artifact build, you can just use a piece of consumer hardware. Really, the limiting factor is how much hard drive space do you have, because like the Mozilla Central, the Firefox source code is quite large, it's multiple gigabytes when you clone it. But an artifact build has you, instead of compiling all of the C++ and Rust and assembly, has you download pre-compiled binary blobs from Task Cluster. That's the tool that like our in-house CI. So you download the pre-built artifacts from Mozilla, and then locally, I think they're all kind of packaged together. I think you link them together locally, I think. And so it's not instantaneous, but it's quite fast. Like on consumer hardware, you can do an artifact build in probably 2 minutes. Like the clone of the repository takes longer than the build. And then you can make changes to the look and feel of Firefox and submit patches and contribute. It's only whenever you need to make changes to like the native layer, what we call the native layer. So C++, the Rust, maybe some assembly, some C, some of the stuff that gets compiled by LLVM. by Clang to the LLVM stuff. That is when you need to do a real binary build. And a binary build can take a while. On consumer hardware, that can take hours. There are ways to speed that up after the first time. Like, there are a number of optimization techniques. One of them is to use on Windows something called a dev drive that allows you to bypass some of the slowness from Windows Defender doing scans of everything that you're doing. But also with something called SC cache, whenever you compile binary bits and pieces, the SC cache will cache the binary representations locally, so that if the file needs to be built again, but the file itself has not changed and it exists in the cache, it'll just pull the binary representation from the cache in your local cache, and that can really help speed things up. Especially if you're moving between branches, you're recompiling something that you'd already compiled. That can really help speed that up. So check out Artifact Builds. That might help you. Okay, let's post this thing for review, gang. Let's also set a reviewer. So JJ Describe, OMMP, we'll say Emilio and Streamer. Moz Fab Submit. Switched to using, what was the rule that he suggested I use? Chrome rules enabled rather than a kludgy Chrome only web IDL interface for center cropping. So that's up for review. We can take a quick sniff of the patch ourselves. Did we get everything? Did we include anything we didn't want to include? Oh, this is unneeded. We can get rid of that. Okay. So let's get rid of that. Moz label test. Moz label flute. Yeah, these are unnecessary. Moz Fab Submit. Okay. And Vincent, if you're looking for some interesting bugs to hack on, there should be a link in the agenda for a tool called CodeTribute. Is that in here? Do I have a link to CodeTribute? No, let me put one in. I can't believe I don't have a link to that. Let's put CodeTribute in here. CodeTribute.mozilla.org. Contributing good first bugs to hack on. Here, let's put this at the top. This allows you to find some good first bugs to hack on that are mentored. And you can find them in a bunch of different components or subcomponents of the browser, of the Mozilla project. Maybe you want to work on Thunderbird. Maybe you want to work on the VPN product or the graphics layer or some of our ML stuff. You seem to have an interest in ML, or maybe the web extensions, APIs, etc. So there's a bunch of stuff you can contribute to there. Let me also update the template to include that. There we go. All right, so done. And this has been posted, so we're in good shape. We might actually want to stop there, although let me rebase the patches that we wrote. Oh, they're all rebased already. So let us now check out URS. I think what we'll want to do now is to convert the the downloads panel to use the center cropping stuff. I think that's next. And if we can do that, then we're in really great shape. If we take a look at one of the other patches in the stack was download shell to HTML elements. So this one, OLZ. So this one, we started switching over everything to using these HTML elements rather than Zool. And so here, if we can find where were we using? We're using spans. We're using descriptions here. Download target. Where are we using labels? Are we using? Maybe descriptions can also do center cropping. Yeah. Crop. We used a description here with center cropping. So basically, download target. This span, we're gonna turn this into a Moz label. That's my plan. A Moz label that. Oh, and this has crop end. So like we can use just normal CSS for this, and we'll use a Moz label for center cropping on the download target, and that'll be fairly exciting. Code Tribute is in the guide, episode guide. Oh, that's right, it is in the episode guide. So if you go to the episode guide, which I failed to mention at the top of the show, there is a link somewhere in here. Where is it? I had it for a while in the agendas under other. Did I get rid of a code? When did it go away? When did it go away? I should always have those in here. Well, the last one that had it was episode... When did it go away? I had it in episode 358. Under other, 358. It's in the latest. I haven't touched the bottom part. Always the same. It's in the latest 440. Have you been adding it yourself manually? Smurf D? Because we should just put some of this stuff. There's stuff in here like my queue only. Maybe I should put all of these links. Compile it. What was the difference? Let's look at a modern one. I'm gonna have to go in a second, but let's take a look at 440. So modern Moz config wrapper, Fission, VPN, Felicia. So try out. So compiler. So a bunch of these are different. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start putting these. I'm gonna put this in the episode guide agenda. I like that. There's some other good stuff in here. Check if the service you're using has been part of a breach. MyQ only. Moz config wrapper. Yeah, there's some good stuff in here. Fission. There's a thing in here about how I use Mercurial. This is no longer necessary because I don't use Mercurial anymore. Anyway, you never bother with the links. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, in that case, maybe I need to update the template that the episode guide uses. At any rate, the agenda will hopefully from here forward have what we need. Hey, I'm gonna call it. Thank you so much for watching episode 446 of The Joy of Coding. We got some stuff done. We wrote our tests. We posted patches up for review. We got a sight line to switching over the downloads UI fully to HTML and making it so that we can get them to show up inside of the sidebar. Like, we kind of had that working, but now we can fully get it working, and I'm fairly excited about that with the center cropping. It was a long road, but we got there. Let me know what you thought of the episode. There's a link to rate this episode here in the agenda. I'll also drop it in the chat for the people who are hanging out there. Link to rate this episode. Let me know what you thought. You can send me your feedback. You can also ask me questions if there's something you want to that's been on your mind. You want to ask about Firefox or Mozilla or open source or web browsers or JavaScript or what have you. Send me your questions. Now, I might not have the answers, but I'll do my best to try and answer them. And if I don't have the answers, I will still post the question, but I just will be like, I don't know. But feel free to send the questions in, and I'll do my best to try and answer them. And with that, I'll call it there. Thank you again for watching episode 446 of The Joy of Coding. I hope you have yourselves a great week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.